everyone. Welcome to the Comics Fu Show.
So, keeping in the spirit of all things that are Kung Fu, but also that are comic book and comic book pop culture.
I know we're a little late to the table because everybody's kind of giving their 2 cents. But we wanted to give our 2 cents on SHANG CHi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, because that fits the bill for us in every which way. It's a Kung Fu movie.
Yes, we're talking about movies now, so I know that you've seen SHANG CHi.
Oh my God!
Not just so. I mean, we've talked about it extensively, as you might know, but
absolutely,
there's still room for you to have your opinion too, Jose. Tell us, because I know there was a unique circumstances. Why don't you fill us in on your experience of SHANG CHi?
Well, we film that we did as a promotion for this company called B&B Movie Theaters at the Mall of America, and that particular short 3-minute film was basically something we did in 1 hour rehearsal. We shot it in 4 hours, and then Miranda edited it in 24 hours, and we got it right back to them. And the coolness of it was that it was shown in every theater where SHANG CHi premiered. So whenever they showed SHANG CHi, the movie, before that, they showed this little short Kung Fu clip before the movie started. And then, of course, me watching, I think I've seen SHANG CHi 6 times already, like in the theaters, and I can't get enough of it. And I think what they did right, and this is my opinion as a filmmaker, as a fan, SHANG CHi, matter of fact, Stefan has a huge comic book connection of SHANG CHi. We had a conversation about it. I had no idea he had this interest. And him and Henry, brother Henry Shung, who's also really tight with us, this whole fam, and they had a huge collection, and together they collectively say, wait, you collect SHANG CHi too? And it became a bonding place, and then the comic book part of that character, Bruce Lee. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee, and I love what they were trying to do with that. So cut to the movie, you have a very clever and very smart way of bringing the film together. They brought like 4 or 5 action stunt teams, starting with Jackie's stunt team. I think it was Andy Cheng, and he's one of his original guys from way back in the day. And and then they had a couple of guys in there. One guy in particular is somebody that we worked with when he was first starting out. So there's a guy named Mahalil Bhatia. He's a black belt karate man. He does a bunch of other things, but he's a really cool brother. And he produces his own movies, and he produced a movie called The Empty Hands with Isaac Hayes. It was like the last film Isaac Hayes did before he passed away. And I came in as an action director and associate producer, but he already had all the bells and whistles on the film. I just kind of came in and facilitated certain things to make it work. And we're tight friends and what have you. But he, when he did this movie, The Empty Hands, he did something very special. He actually was able to say that, hey, I want to make a movie where I'm the star, and I'm not going to wait for Hollywood to make that happen for me. He adopted Fred Williamson's attitude about filmmaking, which is like, I'm going to be the lead. And that was inspirational for anybody like myself who was trying to do film as well. That inspired me, and so anyway, so he had this particular Latino brother from Venezuela named Guillermo Crispo. And Guillermo Crispo's name showed up on every cool movie that ever came out in Hollywood. So Expendables 1 and 2, Kingsman Secret Service, basically the list goes on. And he's a talented jiu-jitsu Aikido man. He has a great Taekwondo background, and just he's really talented at what he's doing, as you can see the movies. And the one that I recognized the best was Batman versus Superman. That little scene where he jumps through the second roof, and the choreo that you saw, that's the style, that's Guillermo's style. I said, yo, this gotta be Guillermo. End credits, Guillermo Crispo, So very proud of that connection, but he was part of the SHANG CHi team. He was one of like maybe 4 or 5 other teams. And so there's a pride there that we're connected to that in some way, shape or form. But for me, what I felt that they did is they raised the bar so high for Marvel. I don't know if you can top that action-wise. I'm sure special effects, The Eternals, all these other great movies are epic, but that particular action was just wow. I mean, I was stunned by the way they did it, because I'm a fan of every genre. So they had the wuxia, very beautiful, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, vibe. The hero, had that aesthetic beauty. And then they had that hardcore, and the brothers from the Marshall Club. There's these 3 brothers that they were in the Paper Tigers movie. Shout out to Ron and Roger Ewan, man. They put together a badass movie, man. That of the time. It was the right type of movie. It's a comedy, but the martial arts was 100% like amazing. And one of the young brothers that was part of that film, he played the guy with the mask that trained Shang Chi. I don't know the actor's name. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah,
Andy
Andy.
Lee. Andy Lee. And man, that kid is just so talented. I see him being a huge star. He's just this amazing talent. And that whole team is just really phenomenal. And so the standards of the martial arts genre, one of the nice things is it's elevated because of these cats. These are guys that were like us, they're fans, they're watching these videos and they made their own movies happen. Right. And not only did they make it happen, they actually succeeded at elevating the genre. It's a genre that Shang-Chi was able to maintain and really keep it relevant, because, there are times where, industries change, people's interests change. And what ended up happening with the martial arts Chinese film genre was that it saturated the market too quickly. They started laying out too many films back to back, and the Westerners lost interest. And luckily, movies like The Matrix, or that have something that's outside of that, they're able to at least bring some of those elements in. And again, The Matrix is the same thing. It's one of those amazing productions that they raise the standard. And Keanu himself is a Chen style Tai Chi fan and practitioner. He did the movie Man of Tai Chi, so I was very proud to see that film because
Oh
it
yeah, I mean,
showed Tai.
speaking of Keanu, I mean, he's an example of someone like he's been training since The Matrix, right?
Absolutely,
And the fact
absolutely.
that you can say that the success of John Wick is almost a straight line, a result
Absolutely.
of his commitment to his training.
Absolutely.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to do it if he only just trained for 6 months.
Right. And I think what it is with him is that he takes an interest in a subject or material, and he got interested in Chen Tai Chi. Your magazine wrote a great article about it. I remember reading this, and I was smiling from ear to ear because in the article, there was a quote saying, "Hey, man, I really loved learning kung fu, to make the Matrix, but I especially loved Chen style Tai Chi." And he learned from this young brother that actually he brought him. This is how cool he is, bro. That guy is still with him. He was the main guy in Man of Tai Chi. And then he ended up in the movie John Wick. He actually is in the knife scene with Roger Ewan. They're all fighting with the knives. So he's one of those guys in that scene. And he's been way back from the beginning, all the way before John Wick, with him. And there's this loyalty that Keanu is just a really just stand-up guy that brings his people. And Chad Stahelski and that team, man, they're brilliant at what they're doing, man. They're actually taking a genre and maintaining a certain quality that Asia is known for, and that's hard to replicate in the West. They're the closest to the source material, I feel, and it's because of the commitment that Keanu has put into what he's been, contributing, which is he's a true artist. The guy, goes in. When he did 47 Ronin, man, he actually learned like legit samurai work, and he's. Even all the stunt people that work with him, they say, man, he's the hardest working guy, like on the set, and he's my age, man. He's all 57, 56, me and Stefan are like, Master Red, we're kind of all in the same, and so we're trying to make our, like, thing happen. But it's because of these projects that, they elevate the bar, but also tell really interesting stories. And I think Shang-Chi did, had some great layers in there that within the storytelling, it was not your typical film, that covered things that were atypical. I felt like Andy, brother, Andy Leung.
Lei, I think it's Andy Lei.
And Andy, no, not Andy Lei. The father of Shang-Chi's character.
Tony Leung.
Tony Leung. So Tony Leung. Oh my
He
God!
was
Every
phenomenal,
scene.
right? So
He ate up every scene he was in. It was like whoever he was in the scene, but he just gobbled up that scene. And just with a simple look, just a gesture, it's subtle. But for me, when I saw him shine, it was the movie that I loved him in was in Hero, when he played Broken Sword. That character, I love that character. Then of course Ip Man, in the Grandmasters.
that was great.
And that's like one of the most beautifully, shot movies. Honestly, I can't say. I mean, I love Donnie's version. I love all of the Donnie series because of the action. But in terms of the cinematic expression, the Xing Yi and the Bagua and the, oh my God, it was just gorgeous.
And
And
that just had the best concepts, right? Which is so much meaning in that end fight, right?
Absolutely.
They talk about that secret technique about that the technique was about turning back, not going straight forward, which was totally about looking back at the past, at your lineage, your elders, everybody, acknowledging the people from before you, as opposed to just plowing forward aggressively, right?
Right.
Thank you, Patrick. Nice to meet you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Curtis. This
Thank
was
you,
great to
Chris.
meet you.
Hello, I'm Sifu Kurtis Fujita with Tiger Crane Kung Fu. I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have an online program that we're utilizing, not just for our enrolled students that come to our physical location, but also for students who are in other states, other time zones, other countries. It's a unique program with multiple components that really help you learn Kung Fu and Tai Chi at home during the current health epidemic and beyond. So we have different components. The first part is, of course, Zoom classes. We have online Zoom classes that meet throughout the week for Kung Fu and Tai Chi. We also have a unique thing which we call our rerun program. And what that means is we record the Zoom classes and we have an archive of dozens and dozens of videos for you to access at any time, anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection. So if you missed a class, you can go ahead and follow along and check it out. Or if you want to remember something that was mentioned in class, you can go back and watch the rerun. It's an archive for all enrolled members. Also, we have personal videos. And what I mean by that is if you film yourself doing an individual technique, you can send it to me and I'll be happy to shoot my own video with a response detailing specifically what you want to do to improve the exercise and do it most efficiently. And lastly, we even have a social club component. And what that essentially means is, when you're at a gym or a martial arts studio, it's that sense of community, the ability to visit with your classmates, with your teacher after class to, socialize. So we have a social club meeting. So once a week after class, we have a Zoom session and we talk for a little bit and catch up with each other and socialize. So these are all the different components that make our unique online Kung Fu program. If you're interested, feel free to reach me at my email address. It's instructor@tigercrane.net. Again, instructor@tigercrane.net. We would love to see you in our online studio. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you, and take care.